Hi, my name is Ashlyn Walker, and I am completing my last semester at the University of Houston in the College of Education. I do not fluently speak any other languages other than English, but I am in the process of learning Spanish. Throughout my schooling experience, I have taken 2 years of Spanish classes. The first one that I took was when I was in 8th grade. This class was great for learning the second language in many ways. To start off with, we had a great teacher who really cared about us and wanted to help us learn as much as possible. Every time we walked into class, even at the beginning of the year, she always greeted us in some way using Spanish and would have us repeat what she said and then respond to it in Spanish. This helped us with remembering words and phrases, and it also helped with being able to pronounce things better and more correct. During her class, we would often repeat other words and phrases we were learning that day. She used simple conversation as a big way to help us learn. We did lots of talking and repetition. We did hands-on projects and activities. One project I remember specifically was one about our family. At that point, we had learned enough to be able to write and speak simple sentences, and we knew words to describe various family members and who they were. We had to create a family photo album with a picture of each family member, who they were, and 2 to 3 sentences about them, all in Spanish. We then had to present the project to the class entirely in Spanish, and to make sure that the rest of the class was listening, we had to write down 3 facts total in English about each person on a piece of paper. It was very beneficial, and I definitely walked out of that class knowing a decent amount of basic Spanish. The only technology the teacher used was a projector, and she only used it to display new words or phrases we were learning so we could see them and repeat them back easier. She had her classroom decorated really festive with different Hispanic decorations, and she had almost everything in the classroom labeled in its Spanish term. When I got to high school, I took my second Spanish class. This teacher had a much different approach to teaching Spanish, and it was not as successful for me at least. The teacher did not really use any sort of technology and mainly used the whiteboard. It wasn't as interactive of a class, and we just did a lot of copying notes and rewriting words and sentences. We never really spoke out loud, and she was a very strict teacher, so we weren't even allowed to talk to our classmates in any activity or project. The only form of assessment we did was when we turned in our copied sentences that had definitions, and we took lots of tests. My experiences with people who speak Spanish mainly consist of the experiences I have with my boyfriend and his family. Him and his entire family speak Spanish as their first language, but are fluent in both Spanish and English. His parents prefer to speak in Spanish, though, because it is a bit easier and they're more comfortable with it. So when I am around my boyfriend and his family, there's a lot of Spanish conversation that I hear. Also, his extended family members also speak Spanish, but are more limited in their English ability, so there is even more Spanish exposure there for me. They often have me practice saying words, and they will quiz me every now and then about what certain things mean or what they are called. My philosophy is, as a teacher, I want my students to feel comfortable and happy in my classroom. I want my classroom to be somewhere my students look forward to coming to, and an environment they feel safe and welcome in. I believe that I am a role model to my students, and I am in charge, but when it comes to behavior, the responsibility falls equally on the teacher and student. The student should not feel like an outsider, but instead feel welcome and part of the class. I also recognize the fact that every student learns a little bit differently. No 2 students are the same. I believe that second language and foreign languages are best learned in an environment that is welcoming and comfortable, where the students are not afraid to make mistakes when learning their new language. I also believe that there should be constant support and guidance for them. I know that what I learned last semester and what I will continue to learn this semester will greatly benefit me by adding to my knowledge of what can be done to help my ELL students learn and develop their English linguistic skills as much as possible.